Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
And please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show. Yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the No Excuses Coach. This is the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. What's up? Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every single week, the Raw and Unscripted show, my place to bring you raw and unscripted conversations with either myself doing a solo show or, as the case is tonight, with a beautiful guest, bringing you information, bringing you new ways to shift your perspectives and therefore your outcomes by increasing your confidence to go out there and rock your world authentically. Who wants to rock their world authentically? Who wants to rock their world authentically? Can you guys believe it's already fucking December? Oh my God, the year has gone by so fast. So fast. It's like blowing my absolute freaking mind. So I'd love to know what you guys are up to. I'd like to know if you guys are planning your 2022 yet, if you guys are like me and you start that stuff in November, because for me, I start that stuff in November, start planning out my next year, and I've got some exciting stuff for 2022. I have to admit, 2021, I thought I was going to get a lot more done, but I didn't get a lot more done. I enjoyed myself. I sat back. I became more of a dad. I wasn't so hot in pursuit about, egoic stuff and all this other things. I had plenty of opportunities to JV with some people, but I'm at this point in my life where I like my life. I love my life. I want to make sure I have my priorities set, and having a kick-ass 2022 is going to be in the cards for me and for you. In case you haven't been paying attention, we got the Kickass group coaching program starting January 11th. Of course, go over to my website, ChristopherRausch.com. Check it out. Here we go. ChristopherRausch.com. In case you haven't been there before, go to the group coaching page. Check it out. I would love to have you there. I'm only seeking 8 to 10 people for this program. It's a 6-month program. It's going to rock your fucking socks off. If you've never had transformation, if you never have been able to rock your authentic self, be able to have confidence and kind of do what I do, then you have not experienced Christopher Rausch coaching. So check it out. January 11th, it starts. I'm super excited about it. The other thing I'm super excited about, of course, is Help Heal Humanity. Of course, I'm the board of directors right now, and we have our board meeting actually on Thursday talking about 2022 strategies. So if you are in a position where you would love to volunteer and you'd love to contribute to this organization that I'm a part of, you guys know I've talked about Serena Buffalino. Thank you, God, for putting her in my life. Go check it out. There's volunteer opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities as well. If you would be interested in being on the board for Help Heal Humanity, private message me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. We're looking for some people in HR. We're looking for some people with some marketing background experience. We're on the world one person at a time. We got some exciting stuff coming up here in the United States next year. So I would love to have that discussion with you guys. I would definitely would. And as always, questions and comments are welcome in this conversation. So if you're watching us live or on the replay, please ping us with some questions and some comments. And I got this the other day. I relaunched the podcast. We're on audio. We're on Spotify, iHeart, all the different places. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we're there. And for a while, I wasn't going to podcast because it's a long story. But anyway, all the shows are caught up and everything. But I started getting messages of I'm blowing up in the UK. It's crazy. My UK numbers have surpassed my US numbers right now. And I'm not sure what's going on. I think it has to do with a buddy of mine named Jock Brocas. Jock is a dear friend of mine. All of a sudden, my podcast started going crazy. But then I realized that people were listening to it now and we're not watching this. So if you guys are listening to this, you can actually watch this podcast. I do a video cast every single week. It's on my YouTube page. Again, go to ChristopherRausch.com. Check it out. There's the YouTube page. You can go to the shows page. You can check it out. You can check out my other show, The Unfiltered Experience. Yeah, baby. Just go to the events page. You can see where I'm speaking at and all this good stuff. So I just want to make sure I hit you up with that, because normally I do it at the end of the show. And I know some of you guys nod off towards the end and some of you guys just dive off and go do other stuff, which I understand. But I just want to make sure I made that clear for you guys right here in the get-go. We got Randy in the house. What's up, Randy? Greetings, brother. Greetings to you, my friend. Greetings to you. Deborah Hanson's in the house. Deborah, I need to reply to you. I forgot. I got to reply to you on a message, but thank you for being here. It's good to see you. Appreciate you. I know you have some stuff going on in your life, so my heart goes out to you. We got Lynn. She goes, hello, brother. Lynn and I are going to be doing some shows together, so stand by for that. You'll see You'll see the post on Facebook, but yeah, Lynn and I are going to be doing some shows and rocking some lives. So we're excited about that. Lynn's a beautiful soul. So connect with her as well. We got Jacqueline Rose in the house. She says, glad to be here, Christopher. I'm so appreciative for you being here. Jacqueline is raw and unscripted to the T, and we love her. All you guys, if you're new, what I call the raw and unscripted people, I call them Misfits for Life. You guys are part of the Misfits for Life family. It's a place where we all belong. Join the raw and unscripted group as well here on Facebook. I would love for you to guys to join that community. It's something honestly I've put time into, but in 2022 I'm kind of sick of social media, the general part of it. So in the raw and unscripted group, I'm gonna be spending more time doing more posts, sharing more stuff, and just having a good time with you guys. I really want to connect with you and do some rooms and whatnot, and just be able to help support you and anything you got going on for a kick-ass 2022. Of course, we got if I pronounce this wrong, charge it to my head, not my heart, as my friend Princeton would say. Nila, thank you. She goes, hello, I am Sarah Tynan Kleinet from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. She says here's an endorsement already for our guest. She says she's changed my life through all of her teachings, living the life, business, plus state of being I've always dreamed of. She is freaking incredible. Ooh, there you go, Sarah. There you go. You got some shoes to fill. I'm going to be bringing you on in a second. Lynn says, yay. And Lynn says here, we are I'm not sure what that is. The one, is that a margarita? I'm not sure what that little thing is. Anyways. So I appreciate you guys, whether you're here live or on the replay. I love you guys, Misfits for Life. And so I'm super excited about the conversation tonight because as I titled it, what did we title this show? We titled this show, usually I remember right off the bat, Aligning Your Vibrational Frequency. Now, truth be told, if I hear frequency, I think of a couple of things. I think of What's the Frequency, Kenneth by REM. I think that song pops into my head because I'm always a song person. So that pops into my head. Frequency, I think about radio stations. I think about, like tuning into the frequency for remote control cars. I think about electronics. But tonight we're going to be talking about the frequency and the vibrations of this, the soul, the human spirit. We're going to be talking about vibrations and frequencies and how we can all align our vibrational frequencies to make sure that we're congruent and make sure we're having a kick-ass life. And my guest, Sarah Tynan, tonight is going to come in here and she's going to share, like Nila said, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I apologize if I haven't. We're going to talk about what we can do in reference to growing ourselves outside of our comfort zone and maybe explore areas that we're not familiar with. So I'm super excited to kick off this conversation. Please welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show, my guest tonight and new friend, Sarah Tynan. Sarah, all the way from Australia. How are you doing, darling?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. It's so exciting. I'm so excited to be here. And it's nice to see everyone on as well.
Yeah, we got people on here already. They rock and roll. I've got some of the greatest people here on earth that support the show, support everything that I'm about. So we appreciate you guys for being here. So thank you. You guys, you're all the way over in Australia. So it's what, 2:00 in the afternoon over there?
Yep. Yeah, it's 2 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Nice. I know I've been to Australia once. I went there, went to Sydney for a couple of weeks back in 1999 and fell in love with the place. And funny enough, I always said that if the United States went bonkers, I would move to Australia, but I think everywhere is going bonkers right now. So I'm like, where am I? I told my wife the other night, I'm like, where the hell am I going to go? We used to say, oh, if we can, if the U.S. goes bonkers, we'll go to Canada, but Canada. And then I was like, okay, Denmark and Norway and Sweden, those guys got their shit together. They have prisons without walls. And then you look on, I'm like, oh my God. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being for ready to rock and roll. So, So thinking about vibrations and thinking about frequencies and what I know about, what do you think is going on in the world right now? Are people's frequencies and vibrations just a little messed up or a lot?
Wow. This could open up. This could open up a can.
I dive right off the deep end, baby. I just dive.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you what's going on from a frequency standpoint. It isn't. If we're doing like an intro into frequency, this is definitely diving off the deep end. But I can tell you what's happening from a frequency standpoint if you want to know.
Absolutely, because I think it ties in, and I'm going to ask. You explain it, then I'll say why I'm asking it. We'll go that way.
Yeah, great. Okay, all right. Well, this is actually an interesting time that we've all chosen to incarnate on this planet. It's an amazing time, and it's not as dire as everybody is thinking it is. Yes, we're experiencing a lot of heaviness. Yes, we're experiencing what people would perceive as chaos. But what I want people to understand is there's kind of always been that undercurrent. There's always been the undercurrent of density, shall I just say. And what is happening from a frequency standpoint is the actual earth, like our collective consciousness, we're actually shifting as a whole. The planet, when I say frequency, I mean the vibration, the energy of the planet is shifting, and it's actually raising, which is good. It's a good thing. We want the energy to rise. But when that happens, a consequence, shall we say, of that is the density that's always been an undercurrent in the planet. It kind of sifts to the surface. And so something that's always been there, it's now in our face. And now we're seeing it. And the reason it's doing that is because the density cannot withstand the higher energy of the earth as it shifts, as it goes into higher frequencies. And because it can't stand, it's not a match to the higher frequencies. Everything's kind of coming up and we're seeing it. And so
it's like the shit on the ocean floor got stirred up and it's all coming up. So is that why
been there? It's always been there, but now we're mixed with it.
So when you say energy is raised, does that mean good energy or negative energy, or is it just energy?
Good energy. When the frequency raises, like the vibrational frequency. So when I say frequency as well, we can define frequency as emotion when I talk about emotional embodiment. So ultimately, energy in motion is an emotion. And our emotional embodiment is the frequency that we carry. So ultimately, we could go into like collective consciousness and what's happening in the collective at the moment as well. But ultimately, as the earth raises its vibration and holds a higher frequency, meaning we hold higher emotions, like emotions of love and joy and healing and balance and all of those sorts of things, they would be classified as higher frequencies. The lower the density cannot withstand it. It doesn't withstand it. And so ultimately what we're doing is we're shifting into a different state of consciousness. The collective is. And you can see that. You can see thousands of people all over the world waking up. You can see thousands of people wanting to take back their sovereignty. And this is causing a mass awakening as the earth shifts. And so ultimately what we're seeing is I don't want to diminish anything that anyone's going through. I know it's a hard thing and a lot of people are going through hard times, but ultimately what is happening is a positive shift. And you will see as things start to settle, like people will take back their sovereignty, people standing in their truth and the power of who they are. And you see that happening now. And so ultimately the shifts and the things that are happening from a frequency standpoint, they are a good thing.
Okay. So I got you there. So the reason why I asked this, and this is something I told you this when we had our Zoom conversation before we scheduled the interview. I'm a novice to a lot of this stuff. And when I said in the intro, I help people overcome their self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. This stuff was some of that stuff was like, okay, frequencies and vibrations, and you guys could all sit Indian style and crisscross applesauce. And I'm gonna teach people how to just get shit done. Yeah. For me, understand that one of the biggest lessons that I've learned out of this, Sarah, and the reason why I asked that question is as I've understood this from my mentors and whatnot, and they talk about, vibrational frequencies and they talk about being an empath. I'm like, Chris, you're definitely an empath. I'm like, okay, so help me understand. Is that the reason why collectively for the last year and a half, 18 months, so much shit's been going on. And there are days and weeks where I'm just like zapped and negative and I'm just like worn out. I'll reach out to my friend. I'm like, what's going on? And they start talking about bad mood rising and Jupiter and Mercury are going out on a dance or something like that. And all this other stuff. And they're like, Chris, and I'm like, when is this shit going to end? I'm like, okay, roller coasters only last for 2 minutes. And like, okay, Chris, the autumn's equinox and the balance of this stuff. And I'm not making fun of it. Is going to end in December. And I'm like, it's fucking September right now. Okay. Yeah. So Chris, you just have to basically process this. Is this what we're talking about? That some people have the ability to feel this energy and this vibration and be unconscious to it?
Yeah, I think, oh gosh, there's so much in this. There's so much in this topic. Yeah. So, you will be experiencing this as an empath up from the collective consciousness and the collective shift. And it is a purging because as the planet shifts, as our energy rises, we have our own stuff that we have to purge as well. That is the lower density frequency that isn't a match to these shifts. And so the purging in and of itself is what humanity is going through and what you would personally be going through. And so you're experiencing, if you're an empath, you'd be experiencing it double time because you're picking up what's happening in the collective and you'd have personal stuff like shifting out of you as well. So it knocks people around. It knocks people around.
I'm like, I try to stay away from alcohol. I do a pretty good job of it. Some days I'm just like, I just want to drink, man. I just want to make this stuff stop. But at the same time, it's so intriguing as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things they say that are ascension symptoms. Like this is what we're going through now. It's an ascension process. And, Ascension is a really interesting journey because humanity has actually never nothing has ever happened like this in humanity before, ever.
Not surprised.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting thing. I think some of the people on here are kind of clued into what's happening because
Deborah says here, she goes, humanity is beginning to connect to source. My buddy Scott, my Friday night show, remember I talked about it? I'm like, you'd be great for that show. The connecting to source and everything. And then Deborah also said here, she goes, I read this week that the magnetic poles are shifting also, and Age of Aquarius. I have a song in my head, Age of Aquarius is beginning.
She's right. Yeah, she's right. She's right.
Explain that stuff to us.
This time in history has been spoken about in history books and in religious texts and been written on caves for eons. And so they talk about
what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What we're doing right now. What is happening on the planet right now. And like I said, one of my sources, shall we say, when it comes to understanding the collective and frequency and the quantum and energy and all of it, one of the reasons why we are going through this, we knew this age would come when the planet would have to shift. There was a tipping point. We were kind of teeter-tottering. It was like, are we going to go one way or are we going to go the other way? And the other way being the shift into a higher consciousness, a higher dimensional state. Now we could talk about what that is in a second, but ultimately this has been sort of planned, shall we say, this has been known that this was going to take place in history books for eons, and it's happening right now. And the collective consciousness has asked for an event to happen, shall we say, like COVID, because we live in a 3D matrix system. We live on a 3D planet. In the matrix system, we've asked to incarnate in this system because we learn through contrast. People say we can't know light without the dark. We can't know sad without happy. That's how we learn. And so the collective consciousness has asked to experience something that is a massively big something that is going to be such a contrast to what they knew before, so that collective consciousness can shift in a massive way. And this is what's happening now. The contrast that we're experiencing is COVID, is our freedoms being taken away, is the restrictions, is the everything that's being imposed on us, and because of that contrast experience is forcing everyone to awaken.
Awesome. When you say, again, just for the novices potentially listening to this, when you say collective consciousness, you're not talking about God's source. You're talking about all of us together. That's the collective consciousness, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing because there's something called quantum entanglement, meaning we are all connected. We are all connected in this beautiful web of energy. And what you can do right now for the collective, and this is a really interesting thing. People are always like, we need to get out there. We need to stand our ground. We need to stand up for what we believe in. We need to whatever. The biggest thing that you can do for the collective consciousness right now is awaken yourself and stand in your own sovereignty. One of the things that was said to me is the light doesn't need defending. The light is everywhere. It doesn't need defending. The best thing that you could do as a human is to be in your sovereignty, knowing that you create your reality. You choose your destiny. Nothing else matters.
Show is over.
Yeah.
That was it. Boom. Look at this mic drop. There's a mic and it just dropped. There's a mic drop. There's a mic drop. You guys, you motherfuckers out there, you guys are responsible for your own shit. Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice day. Raw&Unscripted. No, I mean, to your point, I love that. I've been telling that people so much lately. Everybody's like, blaming and doing all this other stuff. I'm like, this is a perfect time for you to look inside and figure out why hurt people and figure out what you can do for yourself. Because I tell people all the time, if you love yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with a 10 and you spread that love to other people, guess what? The world shifts. And I think that's important. But here's the interesting thing about what you're saying, Sarah, and I can't remember if we talked about this on the Zoom call when we did originally, but I told my wife this probably about a year ago, but I think it was last year. And I've never told anybody this. And I never really understood what it was, but I've always felt, and I don't understand why, but now I think I do. I've always felt like during my lifetime, there was going to be a huge event. I have a problem watching like end of days movies, and I see that like there's more of them coming out. It's like, oh, the aliens are coming, all this stuff. I'm like, I can't watch it because I feel like that's why I'm here in a way. And but when you explain it that way, it seems like that's kind of the purpose. Maybe I signed up for this stuff.
You did. All of you did. Everyone here listening, you guys all did.
We said we want to come up here and we want to raise the collective consciousness of the spinning blue marble and then go back to being a soul, right?
Exactly. Honestly,
Nice.
that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. You know, and I say this to the people who, like, you know, they started my business academy or whatever they do. It's like, you think you're going on this journey to build something. What you're actually here is to ascend. And your vehicle is your business. You know, the vehicle that for which you do that is your vehicle is your podcast, is your container, your coaching containers. That is your vehicle for awakening, for ascension. All of you on here, you guys are all beings of light. You looked down on planet Earth before you incarnated and you said, you know, my brothers and sisters are down there. I choose Earth. You know, I choose Earth. I know they're about to have the shit is about to hit the fan, and I'm going to go there anyway. I know there's suffering. I know there's poverty. I know there's war. I know there's killing. I know there's starvation, but I choose Earth. And you guys all signed a contract. You signed a contract as light beings, and you came to help the collective shift. So well done.
I told my wife that. I said I came here to save the world, and she's like, "No, Chris, you didn't come here to save the world." But I want to pause there for a second. We got some amazing comments here. I want to capture you guys here for a second. Let's see where I stopped off at. Here Jacqueline has something. It says grasshoppers here to learn new. Grasshopper. I was like, that's an Asian thing. I'm like, grasshoppers are doing what with where? Yes, trade for the betterment of my life. Yes, Jacqueline, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see, we got Ray in the house. What's up, Ray? He's one of my misfits for life, one of the long-term original brothers from another mother. Ray, so good to be here. Have you here tonight. And let's see, we got Robert in the house. He says, boom. He says, I almost forgot it was Tuesday night. Never forget it's Tuesday night, Robert. I'll come to your house. Robert. You got to be here every week. You know that. You got to pay your dues. I'm kidding. So what's up? I guess Ray is sharing something here. What are you sharing, Ray? You're sharing. Ray's my back scenes guy. He's like, he posts stuff when people are talking. So maybe that's an end of days thing. We got Angel in the house. She goes, hi, Robert. What let's see. I always have to read Robert's to make sure I can understand what he's going on. He is a verbose cat, and he's also very, very, very intelligent. So I don't say that lightly. Deborah says here, you don't flip the dark switch, you flip the light switch. Oh, snap. I like that. She also says here, our sacred contract. Bam, bam, bam. Darlene's in the house from Florida. Thank you for being here, Darlene. She watches the show and then she falls asleep. She goes to sleep. She goes to sleep with the stuff in her brain. She wakes up in the morning. Perfect. She processes it, and then she knocks it out. She does amazing jobs. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Thank you guys for commenting. And if you're new, if you're just listening to the show, comments and questions are of course welcome. This is a great opportunity for us to pick Sarah's brain and see what's going on. So Sarah, you are obviously intelligent. You're obviously passionate about this stuff. Talk to us about little Sarah. Was little Sarah into all this stuff, or how did you become connected with all of this magnification and quantum physics and great stuff that you know about?
Little Sarah was definitely connected, almost a bit too connected when I was young. I'm from California originally. We lived in the Bay Area. So I was a very sensitive empath as a child, to the point where it was almost debilitating for me.
Wow. In what way?
I was petrified. My dad is a biologist. We lived out on a wildlife refuge, and we had a beautiful family and, beautiful parents. But I just could pick up that there was not nice stuff happening around me, and there wasn't. Come to find out later, and with my family was fine, but my dad's a biologist. He found some funny things out there on the wildlife refuge you can imagine in the Bay Area. Yeah. So we moved, and the second we moved to Northern California, which is like 20 minutes from the Oregon border near Mount Shasta area. And the second we moved, that all went away. And I think, from that experience, just knowing things, seeing things, I knew I was connected with things in a different way. Some of it was nice, some of it wasn't nice, but this has always been something within me. But because of that experience when I was young, I shut it off because I couldn't cope.
Sure.
And then as I grew up, I was always interested into spirit. I was always into spirituality, always reading books, always wanting to know, always craving more. Fast forward into my mid-20s, I started working in the Silicon Valley for a corporate job. So it wasn't always like this, I am the type of person who needs evidence, and I am a very logical person as well, interestingly enough. So I started working at a corporate job in the Silicon Valley. They transferred me to Melbourne, Australia, and I started getting severe neck issues from the stress. And I would see every type of therapist under the sun, chiro, osteo, all of it, until I had some energy work done and it was healed and never came back. And it was one session.
Okay, describe energy work?
Yeah. So I saw it was a kinesiologist, and basically what they do is they tapped into the emotion. We talked about what energy is. It's energy in motion. They tapped into the emotion that was caught in my body. At that time, it was a lot of stress, and I held it here. And she cleared it. She cleared the trapped emotion that was stuck in my body, and my neck healed instantaneously, and it never came back. I studied kinesiology on the side for 5 years because I was so like, what the hell was that? Like,
How did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'd been seeing every other doctor, therapist, whatever for, every other week sometimes. And it all helped. But when she fixed my neck within a session, I was just like, there's something beyond, so I was very curious. And so I became a kinesiologist myself after studying on the side for 5 years. Initially, I started working with physical pain, back pain. Same thing happened. Yes, Deborah knows the meridians. Yes, Deborah. Energy work is awesome. Yeah, so I started working with physical issues, and then my energy work sort of transferred into working with entrepreneurs. And from there, I started aligning people's energy, emotional embodiments, clearing their energetic blocks to align to their goals. And I worked with people from when they started their business up until they hit 7 figures, just through energetic alignment. So I am the living embodiment of this stuff working. It's not just airy flary. This is just me working with myself, working with people physically, working with entrepreneurs so they hit 7 figures, all of it. And so this has been my journey. And I know what it takes from a frequency standpoint. I know that 80% of people's success and what they create, 80% is energetic embodiment. The 20% is aligned action. And there's a lot of programming that gets in the way of people being able to fully embody that, which is really interesting. All those years I didn't realize that, chiropractors are energy workers. That's right, Robert. And kinesiology was created through a chiropractor, I think in the late 60s. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they work with energy. It's really, there's a lot of energetic stuff. And one of my mentors who taught me a lot, she's worked with the American government, CIA, clearing trauma through frequency.
Whoa.
The government knows about how powerful this is. We are energetic beings. We are energetic creators by nature. We are meant to create through frequency. However, if we really knew that and understood that, we would all be able to take our power and our sovereignty back. But let's separate the humans from that knowing so we can enslave them through programming. And that's what's happened. And that's what I'm here to, just when the truth is spoken, the spell is broken. So this is what I want to reveal.
The truth is spoken, the spell is broken. Ooh, that is a quote for this show. That is a quote. Nalia, how do you pronounce her name? Is it Nalia?
Nyla.
Nyla.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Nyla.
Yeah.
Nyla says here, I started working with Sarah, and at the start of last year, when all this shit hit the fan, I've healed so many different pains inside me, created the online business of my dreams where I am serving deep. But my thing keeps moving, but that's exactly it. My physical world is transformed. My life is amazing, but through healing internally, aligning my energy, getting amazing at what I do, I'm helping so many clients through the time they really need it. That is so, so beautiful. So talk to us about what is the process of us changing the alignment of our energy, and kind of some stuff that we could do at home to better understand it, and maybe, to be more aware of it throughout our day.
Okay. There's so much. Okay. So I'm going to give you a really simple one in terms of being aware of it throughout your day, because that's super important. And I'm glad you brought that up, because what happens is we're so subconsciously driven that we're on autopilot. We don't even know it. We are on autopilot. Like, we get to work, we hop on our car, and then we're there. We don't know anything that happened between A and B. Do you know what I mean? So Our subconscious mind dictates 95% of our day. It drives 95% of what we experience during our day. And so what I tell people to do as a very simple, like, you want a tangible thing to do, is set an alarm 5 times a day as a checkpoint, as a check-in. Because oftentimes what happens is you have a subconscious loop that keeps looping the same stories, that keeps looping the same programs, that keeps looping the same distortions, and you don't even know it because you're kind of asleep to it. And so what I have people do is set an alarm at least 5 times a day to check in, and to kind of have that conscious awakening where you're like, I've been having a mental argument with my husband for the past hour. I'm in real shit energy, but you don't even realize it because you're so stuck in that loop. So check yourself 5 times a day, check in and have an awakening. Be like, right, what embodiment am I in? Meaning, what emotions am I holding right now? And then ask yourself one question. What is it that I want? And what happens in that moment is you start rewiring your neurons to, you'll start scratching that loop, and you'll start scratching it and creating a new loop of everything that you want to experience, instead of all the shit that's happening and all the arguments you're going to have or haven't had or will have or whatever. And you're in dense energy. You start rewiring yourself to loop positive things that you want to embody. And therefore you will start by default manifesting. That's the first one. Set an alarm. Have conscious awakenings throughout the day. There's so many comments. Yes, I agree. Autopilot.
Well, I'll bring those up. You just keep going.
Yes. Okay. All right. Second thing I want people to know and understand. I'm going to give you 3 things.
Okay, gotcha. So 5 times, got that.
We'll keep it succinct. One, to set an alarm. Second thing I want people to understand, that your desire, there is no coincidence that you have that desire specifically. Everybody has a very particular desire because that is the coding you have in your energetic field. And therefore, there is no coincidence you have a desire to create whatever it is that you want to create. And what I want people to know from a quantum standpoint, when your mind is able to access that vision that is connected to that desire, that vision in the quantum field is where everything exists. It's already done. I want that knowing to be anchored in your system deeply, because this will help to unplug a lot of the matrix codings that makes you think that it's not possible, that I don't know the how, that it's, all this shit that keeps people separate from their vision. I want you to know your vision is already done. There's no coincidence that desire has chosen you.
Okay, so I have a question right there. How do you know that your desire is the right one? Because so many people sit there and think, "Oh, I think I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not sure." What recommendations do you have for people to know whether? Because I go through that every once in a while. I'm like, okay, I love coaching and everything, but I often wonder, like, is coaching going to be the thing, or is it going to be this, or is it going to be something else?
Thank you. Love this question. This is super important. So okay, if nobody was looking, would you do it ultimately? Because what happens is we are programmed to create based on filling unmet needs within ourselves. For example, we are programmed to pave a life so we can satisfy mom, so we can satisfy dad, so we can keep up with the Joneses, so we can not be judged. So everything we're doing, we're fulfilling an external need to make someone else happy, to make someone else proud, to make. So unplug those. Gotta. Yeah, those are all matrix plugins. Unplug from all of that. If you had a pure stream of desire coming through you, and it was just the thing that pulled you to something, you were just pulled by it. It's like a moving towards creation motivation. That's how you know it's an authentic frequency that has chosen you.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So this is what I used to work on with my entrepreneurs who were like, Sarah, I want to manifest this Maserati and this Ferrari. Why isn't it happening? And I was like, okay, that's cool. I love cars. That's awesome. But if nobody saw you in it, would you still want it? And that's how you know they were trying to fulfill something external that wasn't fully aligned to their quantum resonance. Yeah.
Well, I love that. Deborah says here, she's like, actually, we got Walton. Oh, we got some new people in the house. We got Coach DC's in the house. He says, I have that rule. We were talking about the set the alarm 5 days. And, actually, speaking of that, before I continue on, here's something I've done. And I think it's the same. I think you're saying the same thing, but it's just, I think I have a different way of doing it. But what I do in the morning is, and I guess now I understand why I do it, is in the morning before I wake up, or before my eyes open, I always started my day off with gratitude. Like, I'm grateful for my son sleeping in the next room. I'm grateful for this. It's always new stuff in interspersed with that. But also what I started adding when I was starting to really dissect, I'm like, how can we own the day? I've never been really concerned about owning the day. I've always been like, okay, how do I own this project, or what, always, like end results and everything else. But I started saying my intentions. Like, my intention today is to be present and playful with my son. My intention today is to affect the world with my words and my actions. Then during the day, that's one thing. But then during the day, I'll catch myself like, did I say my intention was to sit here and scroll Facebook for an hour? No. And then I stop. So I stop. So I'm not setting the alarms, but I stop and I sit there and say, what did I say what my intentions were? Have I done that today? Okay. Then I redirect myself. Is that essentially what you're saying? Is catching ourselves and changing what it is that we're doing to make sure we're in alignment and we're congruent?
I'm so glad you brought this up. This is amazing. So I want you to know intentions are more powerful than you could ever imagine. intentions actually move energy. And the reason I know this is because when I was working with energy, I started just to develop. I could see energy. I could see the distortions in my clients. I could see who they were linked to, mom or dad, and where it was sitting in their field. And I could also know that unless their intentions were on board with me, they wouldn't shift. And so I'd see this distortion. I'd see this block in their frequency, and I'd try to move it out. And I'm like, right, this isn't moving. I know they want to move it, but I'm like, right, I need your intention. I need you just to give me a full body. I don't care what happens. I want to move this. And then the second their intention got online, that shifted out. And so I know that intention moves energy. It moves energy. So powerful. So powerful.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And the guys, thank you for being here, whether you're live or on the replay. Of course, let's ask questions. And Lynn Serrano says here, she goes, woohoo, preach it. Yes. Lynn says here, I agree about autopilot is not always good if wrong programming. Absolutely. It's so true. You know, something that when I learned about the reticular activating system, the RAS system, like, you know, that autopilot thing, it's like, you know, if I listened to Mel Robbins' book recently, and she talked about look every day to try to find a heart. You know, and a heart in any image, it's like once you shift that up, once you change what it is that you're looking for, you oftentimes get it. So that is very beautiful. That is very beautiful. Robert says here, I love to offer the undeniable inclination to smile, grin, or laugh, or to have some fun. Absolutely. Walter, what's up, Walt? My buddy Walt is in the house. He says intentional reminders are so crucial to requiring your mindset. Great tip. Yes. Deborah says here, self-accountability, absolutely. Discipline and everything else. That's what we all talk about. Let's see what we got. Deborah also says here, it's in the vortex as soon as you put the thought out there. Yes. That's some freaky shit, because I've heard some people that say, you know, you got to be careful what it is that you wish for. You just might get it. Talk to us about how that works and the energy and doing that and being careful of, you know, I had somebody sit there and tell me, like, make sure when you're talking, because I had people teach me to talk to spirit guides, which is shit I didn't ever do before. But they told me to add on to the end of it, like, for my higher good. Like, I want high paying coaching clients, but for my higher good. Being able to put that additional, I guess, touch on there for my higher good. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah. Again, it's all about intentional energy. And I love that. I love that tip, because I do the same thing. I said, for my highest good and the highest good of all. Like, I always just add that in there. Just like, I'm going to put that disclaimer in there in case anything's misconstrued. It's for the highest good and the highest good of all. But again, it's all about your intentional energy. Your intentional energy is everything. It is like, you know, you could put a facade up, you could say things, but whatever intentional energy is behind it is what's going to drive it. So, for example, you can say, oh, I'm positive, I'm successful, I'm this and that. But if the intentional energy behind that does not believe it, that is what's speaking to the universe. That is what the embodiment is like. The universe only picks up what the vibrational frequency is that you embody, and it copy and paste that, and it shows you that back into your experience. So it's all about intentional energy. So
I love it. I love it. Here's a story I just heard recently that actually blew my mind in speaking about what it is that we're talking about. People will sit there and say, oh, I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. I'm going to win the lottery. Well, apparently this story happened. I haven't confirmed it, but I believe it to be true, that a woman somewhere was praying that she was going to win the lottery. She won the lottery. And with her money, her son said, I want to buy a fast car. And as soon as I got to that part of the story, I was like, so she bought her son a fast car. He crashed and died.
Shit.
She didn't say for it. She was like, I want this money. I want. So that was a clear representation for me to be careful what you wish for. Be careful how you ask for that. Be clear in what it is that you're asking. And that's something that, oh yeah, I just want clients, or I just want this, that explains a lot of what happens in our life if we're not being clear and concise with what it is that we truly, truly want from the bottom of our souls, not from a egoic standpoint. Because I think a egoic standpoint goes into materialization and all that other shit. Talk to us how we can shift from ego into soul, into spirit, into source.
Thank you. So from that whole story is amazing. So ultimately, what she didn't want was to win the lottery. She didn't want money. There was something in her that wanted freedom. And so she tried to manufacture a way to get it, because that's her ego only thought that was the only way how. So what I would like people to do is understand, what is it that they really want? What is it that they really want? Peel back all the layers of alignment and tune into what it is they want, not how they think they're going to get it. Because how they think they're going to get it is what throws their whole life out of alignment. She wants freedom. The way she thought she would get that was through having a lot of money. The way she thought she'd get that was through winning the lottery, and it threw her whole life out of alignment. And so tune into your soul, peel back everything. If you could just snap your fingers and you could experience anything that you wanted, what would that experience be? It wouldn't be to have money. You couldn't eat money. Money's not pretty. You know, it's not gonna, but it gives you freedom. It gives you something. So what is that emotion that you're trying to feel? Anything, any goal that you strive for, that goal, the reason why you strive for it is because it will make you feel something. Everything, a house will make you feel something, a car, client, that makes you feel something. What is that thing that you're craving to feel? What is that thing that you're craving to feel? Ultimately, what you want to do is peel back the layers for why you're not feeling it and be the embodiment of that first. Tap into that feeling first, and your whole life will rearrange itself so it enhances your ability to feel it more and more and more. Hopefully,
can you give us an example of that? Maybe somebody you worked with or something like that. I think that's perfect. Angel says, love this. So yes, people are digging this. So thank you. People are ascending.
Yeah, we are. Well, yes, they are actually, because what happens?
But there's dissension in the ascension, isn't there? No, don't even go there.
No. So I'll talk about what's happening right now from an energetic standpoint, and I'll answer your question as well. But when I say the truth, when the truth is spoken, the spell is broken. What actually happens from a energetic standpoint is when people take on soul truths, because we've been lied to, because we've been programmed, because we've been enslaved. You know, there's literally our cells have been structured in a particular way, and it can only hold a small fraction of who we are as light beings. And so what happens is when you hear a soul's truth, when people are like, yes, I love this. Yes, this feels good. Oh my God, of course, this is how it works. What actually happens is your cells start shifting and opening, and you're able to hold more light. So literally right now, as you hear these soul's truths, and I'm not saying to believe everything I say, I want you to pull in this information and hold it into your heart. And if it feels good, take it in. If it doesn't, don't. You have your sovereign being with your own discernment. But if it aligns to you and if it feels like a soul truth, take it in, because what is actually happening is your cells expand out and you are able to hold more light. So this is actually a conversation of ascension, literally, because we are speaking truths and people are taking this in and they're loving it and their cells are holding more light. So when it comes to your other question around how do you tap in, how do you hold embodiments? How do you hold an embodiment of something when you're not experiencing it in your physical reality? Like that seems impossible.
Like what are you talking about? I'm broke and I
yeah,
how do I get in this space, huh? Yeah.
Exactly. I totally get it. Now, this is one of the biggest matrix plugins that has kept humanity suppressed throughout the duration of time. This is a big one. And what I call this, I call it an evidence distortion. I call it an evidence distortion, meaning
it's probably me.
We are programmed and hardwired to think we need evidence to see its possibility.
Yeah.
It's an evidence.
I need
distortion.
to see it to believe it instead of the opposite way around.
Yeah. My physical evidence does not show any inkling of the fact that I could create a 6 or 7 figure business. It's not like I grew up poor, everyone around me is poor, blah blah, whatever the evidence is, this isn't possible for me. And so what I do from like the deepest part of my being is I have a knowing. So divine knowing is the antidote for doubt. I know this, I have such a deep connection with the quantum. I know that if something is in there, then that is a reality for me. And I know that I'm just a frequency away from stepping into it. And so I can tell you so many stories if you want to go down that path in my own journey of business and all of it.
Sure, by all means.
Through embodiment. So, it's so important. So I'll give you what to do and then I'll tell you stories.
Cool.
there's so much.
You're tracking perfect.
Yeah. Good. So first thing you have to do is choose to, I want people to know that you are here to create your world within a world. You're here to create a world within a world. But what happens and why people feel like they can is they look around at everyone else's world and they start plugging into that world. That world is, is poor. That person is struggling to make money. That person has to work hard. And all of a sudden they have all of these plugins and it's feeding energy into that world, and people get so distorted by everybody else's worlds that they forget who they are and how to create. as their own divine creator. Step one is unplug from physicality, unplug from the world around you that are keeping you dense. Tune into the divine knowing that if you can see it in detail, it must happen. That is a quote from Dolores Cannon, who was a hypnotherapist who worked with thousands of people from all over the world, who was able to take them so far back. She was able to access universal consciousness and the universal wisdom. And they told her that if humans were able to see their vision in detail and anchor it into an embodiment, meaning they felt it, like, oh shit, this feels so real, I can feel it. That's an embodiment. It must happen. It is law.
That's like a bad dream. I tell people all the time, your mind doesn't know perceived reality versus real reality. And I tell people, like, they're like, what is that shit, Chris? I'm like, have you ever had a bad dream? Yes or no? Yeah, I've had a bad dream. What did you wake up feeling? I felt like I was, running for my life and everything. I'm like, did you physically have that happen? No, your brain painted that picture for you. Your body manifested those emotions and those reactions. Is that the same thing that we're talking about here?
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, I've had the same thing where, like, my husband cheated on me in my dream, and I woke up mad at him.
You motherfucker!
He's like, yeah, you cheated on me last week in my dream. It is a similar thing. I am delusional. I tell the guys in my business academy, you only have to be delusional when it comes to physicality and what you're creating. I am delusional. In a way, and delusional can have a negative association, but it's your power, because when you are out of the evidence distortion, meaning you don't need evidence to know the possibility of it, you are delusional in the fact that this reality is done and you can feel it and you can embody it and you can see her or him and you can see what she's doing and what she's eating and what he's eating, all of it, and you feel it. By law, it will manifest. And this is why the 5 times a day thing is important, because I want you to check yourself and step into that embodiment 5 times a day, so your subconscious can catch up to all of that, and you can start looping that thought and that embodiment, and you start just by default being in the energetics of it, and it will start to manifest itself out in front of you. Like, I started my business academy when COVID hit. The evidence around me told me, bad idea. People are freaking out. Everyone's losing their job. People are in scarcity. First launch, 6 figures booked out. Same thing second, same thing third. I just unplugged from the evidence distortion, and I created my world within a world where I was abundant. And then that was what I stepped into. And it is as simple as that, but it's hard because that is not how we are taught to live. That is not how we are programmed.
So I have a crazy question for you. Just popped in my head based on what you're saying. Do you believe in luck?
No. I mean, you're manifesting whether you experience something good or whether you experience something bad. You're manifesting all the time. You are creating your circumstances, your reality, and whatever you want to label that as. Maybe some people label it as luck because it just randomly shows up in their reality, but ultimately they manifested that sequence of events. So,
so they're doing it they're doing it unconsciously. Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, it's the same way. People sit there and say they believe in luck. I'm like, no, I think everything has a role and a part in our journey, and it's not by happenstance that's going to be happening. Deborah here says a beautiful saying. She goes, "How does that saying go? We are spiritual beings living a human experience." First time I heard that was Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's one of the first people that I listened to spirituality and stuff. I'm like, all right, this cat's got some stuff going on. He's not totally. I always thought spirituality equated religious, and I was not a religious person. I was not religious, so I was like, Yeah. I can't even believe we've already been talking for 47 minutes. This is crazy. You guys out here in our Misfits for Life have been just super verbose and like Angel said, she says, love this. Thank you, Angel, for being here. When you think about, in the business, like you said, you're helping people, reach certain figures. Talk to us about that process of who you work with, and maybe a couple of case examples where people came in and were just like, damn it, Sarah, I'm doing it. And then you're like, okay, we're going to go through this program and I'm going to reshape and now they're like, maybe give us some examples and then of course we'll have everybody get a hold of you and we'll give them their contact information. But talk to us about some of those clients that you work with.
Oh God. All right. So I'll take you back from the very beginning. When I first started one of my first clients, I started with him before he even launched his business and was with him up until he hit 7 figures. And it happened for him quickly. I have people that come in and double their incomes, or they feel, the sense of it's like the programming is what is killing people, because it's like they're thinking that they need to do a certain thing. And once they liberate themselves, oh my God, from not needing to do that anymore, and not needing to be this, it is like this process of liberation and then anchoring into their mission. When they finally get that anchoring point, they become magnetic. Because now you're soul aligned. Now you have your whole team working for you instead of trying to push shit uphill the whole time. There's so many stories. I used to work like with one-on-one clients. Now it's more of a mastermind container, but like I used to work with all sorts of people. You would never guess. Like a lot of them were crypto investors. Some of them were emergency room doctors. Some of them were just general practitioners. Others were people who just roamed around and traveled. But all of them had a very similar, the same thread of they thought they needed to do and be something specific and do it in a specific way. And when we peeled back all of those layers of misalignment, and when we got to the core of what they actually wanted, which most of the time was freedom, impact, those sorts of things, and released the how they thought they needed to get it, it all just unfolded in front of them. All of it.
Oh my God. You were literally speaking the language of my coach back in 2019. One of the biggest things I learned out of that process, she's like, fuck, Chris. She goes, you're in survivor mode. You're not in thriver mode. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm successful. Because I don't know if you know my backstory. I was homeless and had a bunch of stuff happen when I was younger. And she's like, you have to always have this plan A, B, C, D. You always have to figure things out and blah, blah, blah. You need to surrender. So I started reading the books like The Surrender Experiment and The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which were amazing for me to kind of just step back out of this egoic, shell. And I've always been tied to outcomes, and I've always been tied to, I know the recipe for success. And one of her biggest things has been, even since then, I left my corporate job back in 2019, and every person, every spiritual advisor, everybody, even Lynn, who was on here, I'm not sure she's still on here. She's like, Chris, I have to tell you, you have to stop trying to make this happen. You have to understand that it's, like you said, it's already there. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I have to learn in this journey is literally like, I wake up and I sometimes I have this anxiety because I'm so used to being, okay, this is what I do. And this is the result I get. It's certain, it's safe, it's predictable, it's good. Mm-hmm. But in some respects, literally my coach had taught me to talk to spirit guides, ask for evidence, do these things. And then later on, we're talking about, okay, you don't need evidence, you need to trust. So for me, it's been, and then all of a sudden you show up in my life and everything just keeps collaborating or corroborating, the fact this is what this is the evidence, like, Chris, okay, you're still doing it. Yeah. But it's one of the most challenging experiences for somebody who's like me to be able to sit there and say, okay, I know that all these pieces and I know in my brain that, because now I'm starting to listen to the whisper, and I want you to talk about that for a second. I'm starting to listen to the whisper because everything keeps telling me, like, Chris, finish that book. And I had one of my mentors who I hadn't even talked to in years, came out of the blue early last year, and she's like, Chris, you need to write a book. I'm seeing you do all these shows and everything. She goes, you need a book. What kind of books are you writing? And I tell her this motivational book, this other book, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but there's this other book I'm going to write after I do these other books, because I want that one to get published. She's like, what book is that? And I'm like, that's a story about me and my mom. She goes, that's the book you need to write right now. I'm like, no, I don't want to write that book. That's going to be awkward. And I have to visit a lot of painful things. She goes, that book, Chris, that's going to be the hinge point of what's going to really launch you. And she knows a person who knows Stedman, who knows obviously Oprah. She's like super connected. So every time I get this like anxiety, I'm like, Chris, if you knew next June 13th, after you get the rough draft to the publisher, that somebody said they want to make a movie out of your life, how would you feel right now? Right now, I'd be like, fuck, this is cool. I'm just going to kick it right now. So I've been doing that, but not being lazy. So I'm like trying to find the hinge point of knowing that's going to happen. But like, because before I used to work like 18 hours a day, like 20 hours a day to make shit happen. So now I'm like, okay. So some days I'm like, okay, I really didn't do that much today, but I feel like I'm getting closer. I'm trusting this. I'm trusting all this, but I don't want to get to next year and be like, yeah, Chris, you just wasted an entire year. That shit doesn't work. Okay. So there's that. And I understand that it does, but there's always that anxiety that's going on.
I love this, Chris. This is such a good conversation. First, what I want people to, and maybe you as well, to tap into is what is that thing that is driving all of this? Because I think this is that there's some sort of deep-seated pain that drives this. And so, there's the need to create, the need for results. Results, by the way, is a slave matrix plugin. It is a matrix plugin, because what happens is, and this is not something that is talked about in the personal development industry at all. This is actually something that is glorified, but but this is, again, a truth that not many people have an awareness around. And results are what keep people enslaved, because you will not stop until you get the result. You will break your back for a result. Results are like, if I can have an analogy, it's like being full without eating. It's like just getting married without the whole courting process and falling in love and getting to know that person. It's just the end. It's your end. It's like, it's dying without living. You will stop at nothing to get the result. It is an embedded slave program. You look at Olympians, athletes, they will compete with broken vertebrae to get a result. That can't be good. This is a matrix plugin. And so what you want to see is, what is this thing that is driving? What is this thing? It's called a secondary gain. I mean, you think you're going to gain something from it, but it's the very thing that keeps you enslaved and maybe plugged into a result. Most of humanity is driven by that.
So enjoy the moments and let go of the results.
You heal the pain that is driving the need for the result. And what will happen is you'll realign your frequency with everything you've wanted anyway, because it's going to be it's just going to be a natural embodiment. Once that drive, that need for result, that whatever that pain is that is driving that, once that's healed, you're just going to be a natural energetic embodiment for everything. And everything you've chased and worked hard for and worked 18-hour days for, boom, it lands in your lap without even doing anything.
I'm ready. I'm ready for that. I am ready for that. Shit, I was just going to ask you a question. I just fucking brain farted. Deborah says here, she goes, sharing experience is such a gift. Absolutely. We got Jock in the house. Jock, you showed up. It's like the damn thing's already over. You have to go back and watch this, because Jock will definitely dig this. I think I told you at the beginning of the show, Jock would dig this stuff. Jock's an amazing soul. He's connected spiritually and everything. He's an amazing dude. Deborah up here says, everyone has a story that can help others save the 50-year learning curve and save money on their precious time that they can never get back. Yeah. Absolutely. Jock says here, Jock's going to go back and listen to this, because you will dig this conversation. Where can people get a hold of you? I know that people are going to want to continue this conversation with you. We got a couple of different places. Then you have a special offer that you would like to share with the listener. I can't even believe we've already been going for 56 minutes. I can go for another hour, but I promised my listeners, my viewer, I wouldn't go over an hour, because a lot of them got to go to sleep. But where can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my website, www.sarahtynan.co. You can I have lots of free webinars on there. So I talk about unplugging from the matrix codes. I talk about money, the frequency of money. I talk about so much. I just give it all away for free on there. So if you want to continue this and you want to embody and learn more, if there's something in you that's craving more of this, that your soul wanting to expand and hold more light, you can find a lot of content there at my website.
Definitely. And they can get a hold of you on Instagram, sarah.tynan.international.
Yes, that's right. Instagram and also Facebook.
And then you have a special offer. It's up here on the screen, www.sarahtynan.co/6 to hit 6.
Yeah, so this is all the 6 frequency embodiments, because I felt like when my business hit 6 figures, it just felt like a fluke. Like I wasn't employing very much strategy at all. So I was like, right, well, what was the embodiment? So I reverse engineered the 6 frequencies I embodied to hit 6 figures in my business. So I reverse engineered that whole journey. And that is what I'm giving to you guys for free.
I love it. I'm going to extend. I don't do this very often. I'm going to extend another invitation for you to be on the Unfiltered Experience, because I know Scott would have a blast in this conversation. He would bring some new dynamics to the questions being asked, because he's into all this stuff. Definitely. I thank you so much for being here. Oh, look at Ken Wall showed up. What's up, Ken? He says, yo, you got to check this one out, Ken. It's a good conversation. Angel says here, you're awesome, Sarah. Definitely enjoying this time with you. Absolutely. Deborah says here, thank you, Sarah. Darlene says, thank you, Christopher and Sarah, for all you do. Absolutely. I love doing what I do. I mean, to your point, when you said it earlier, what I can do that nobody can watch me is talk. I talk to myself. I talk all the time. I just love sharing information. And the other point I was going to make with you As I think I realized what my thing is that I feel now at 52 years old, I feel like time is running out. So that's why the evidence, and that's why there's such a desire for me to get this stuff done, because I'm like, I want to make sure I get it done before, my time comes up, and especially leave the legacy for my son. So
that's a wound to scarcity. That's a wound to scarcity.
How do I get rid of that?
So that's, I know. You're asking me with 2 minutes left.
Get this shit off my shoulder. Wait, no, we'll have private conversations. I definitely want to talk to you more about this.
Yeah,
have you on the other show.
The spell is broken. When the truth is spoken, the spell is broken. The first step is awareness, and then with your intention, you'll shift it out like that. It doesn't take years of therapy. You will shift it out very quickly. Since I just spoke my truth, and that's good. Yeah, you found the seed that was planted, and that. I'll leave everybody with this. Most distortions, most blocks in people's energetic fields are from one wound. And they all compile, and then they create experiences based on that one wound throughout their whole life. So it's like, yeah, but I've been through that, and that's happened to me. And this shit happened, and all this stuff happened. But all the distortions, all the blocks, programmings most likely come from one wound. Oh, I can imagine that. I know that. So that's one another conversation. It's another conversation. That was my mom. Yeah. She was the one wound. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Tynan. Sarah, I'm going to put you backstage. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to round out the show, and then we'll have a little private conversation after that. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. What a beautiful show. Honestly, when I started, I for those of you guys who were here from the beginning, I came out and I said, listen, there's not a lot I know about this conversation, and that's the intriguing part of it. And this is the beauty part. You guys watched me go through this process to be able to sit there and say, okay, I don't understand, this vibrational energy or frequencies and everything else. But even though, if you just even rewind the clock back 2 to 5 years and everything that I've been on this journey where I said before, I help people overcome their self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. All of the stuff that I'm learning is that stuff. So I encourage each and every one of you, have an open mind. And I know you guys do. You watch the show because you have an open mind, because you're eager to see different sides of the conversation and be able to really, you guys are always there eager to sit there and say, okay, what's the next tool? What's the next thing I can do? Tonight's conversation is powerful. I personally am going to go back and watch this show. So not from an interviewer standpoint, but from a watcher standpoint, I can actually really sit down and listen to some of the things that Sarah said. Please connect with her. This stuff is powerful. I know a lot of people who truly, truly believe in this, and I've seen it work in their life. I'm sitting here going through it myself. I know that it's all going to work. I think I'm the guinea pig where they're going to sit there and say, okay, the guy that said self-help fluffy bullshit, he's going to sit there and he's going to speak his truth, and all of a sudden stuff's going to happen. I know it is. I tell my wife all the time. I said, I'm not worried about it. There are certain moments where you sit there and you want that predictability, you want that safety, you want that security. But God's honest truth, guys, we're here to live and experience this life. We're not here to play it safe and have certainty and all other stuff. We're here to fulfill, like we talked about in this episode, our soul's contract. We chose to be down here at this certain time in earth to be a part of this, this ascension, as Sarah talked about, which I think is beautiful. So we can all go to her website and learn more about what it is that we're learning here. And if there's other people or other guests that that would vibe with this particular conversation or add benefit through the Raw and Unscripted show, by all means, introduce me to those individuals. I was introduced to Sarah, and here we are rocking and rolling. She'll be on the Unfiltered Experience again, definitely in 2022. So I would love to see in your comments, what is the one aspect of this show that you're going to take and apply to your life? Whether it's, catching yourself 5 times a day, whatever it might be, I would love to see in your comments in there. And again, if you have any questions, if you're watching this on the replay, ask the questions, and myself and Sarah will go back in the comments and make sure you get those answers and reach out to you privately if there's something that we can't post on there. Yeah. Holy shit sticks. I got Lauren Whiskerson in the house. I saw your Christmas picture and I thought you guys look beautiful. She says, glad I stopped by here to hear the fluffy bullshit. Oh, Lauren knows me for a long time. I don't put up with the fluffy bullshit. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anyways, it's beautiful to see you, Lauren. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'd love to catch up and see what's going on. But here's what we could do, ladies and gentlemen. We can take from this conversation and recognize, that not everything has to be safe and certain. Not everything has to be according to our specific plan. That when we sit back and we actually let the energy and let the flow and let the intentions of what it is that we truly want to do and accomplish, we let those communicate what it is that we want to do, then that is what we will reap and sow in our lives. So if there's anything I could do to support you guys on this journey, again, please reach out. We've got the group coaching program starting January 11th. It's going to be massively impactful. I'm taking 12 people at the most. I'd like
to get about 8 for an intimate setting. It's going to be an amazing program. So if you guys want information on that, DM me or go to ChristopherRausch.com, and I'll be able to gift you a complimentary coaching session to see if working together for 6 months would be great. But anyways, I love you guys, each and every one of you. You guys are misfits for life. So, and again, go check out the Raw and Unscripted group on Facebook. It's facebook.com/, I believe, Raw and Unscripted. And that's the community we can all sit there and engage in and have the conversation after the show. I love you guys. Go out there and be the change you bitch about. Let's go make the world a much better place for who we are and what we do. And let's set the intentions to leave this world a better place for our kids and our kids' kids. I love you guys. I'm Christopher Rausch, the No Excuses Coach. This has been another episode of the Raw and Unscripted show. I love you guys. Go out there and rock it. We'll see you next time, next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Love you guys. Cheers.